It's Walapai 100.9. My name is KCJ, and I am speaking with Carmella Fuentes. She just earned a bachelor's degree of science in business administration from Southern New Hampshire University. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Hi there. I'm really excited to be here. Nervous. All kinds of emotions wrapped up in one.
Tell us about your family and your relationship to Peach Springs.
So was born in Kingman, but grew up in Peach Springs. So my family, they are from the Blue Mountain and Big Sandy Bands. My grandmother is Catalina Steele and the late Rupert Steele. And then on my father's side, Joe Fuentes and the late Sharon Wakiuta. Pretty much lived here my whole life. I didn't move away till March of 2020.
Why did you choose Southern New Hampshire University?
Good question. So I started college actually at MCC in Kingman. And then I moved to Idaho in 2020. And at the time, I was a stay-at-home parent looking after my two youngest sons. I began to see how difficult it was as a non-tribal member to get a job with a tribe that you weren't enrolled with. Shoban tribe had first tribal preference, and so that kind of kicked me out of a lot of job opportunities. So I saw it as an opportunity, or I decided to change course a little bit and continue back with my education. And SNHU was at the time the only school that was very responsive, and I was able to get my courses up and started within 2 weeks after applying.
Are you considering working for the Walapai tribe?
Oh, absolutely. So growing up, of course, we're always told to go and get education. I think that's very important. I am a strong advocate that you need both education and experience. Both are equally important. And so when I first moved up to Idaho, it was a discussion that my fiance and I had for a very long time so at first he was going to move down to Arizona. Then I decided, wait, I've always wanted to work for another tribal organization to gain different experience, to know how tribes navigate certain challenges, especially when it comes to political and economic influences that are outside of their control. And I've never been to Idaho. So I said, you know what, let's move up there. So right now I work for the Shoshone-Bannock Casino Hotel as a sales account executive overseeing the corporate clients. And previous to that, I was a social worker for the Shoshone-Bannock Tribe Social Services Program. And so both experiences allowed me to see both the for-profit and the nonprofit side within tribal organizations.
What advice do you have for young people, particularly kids in high school, getting ready to consider an educational future?
Good question. Let's see, if I could go back to my younger self, what I would tell her is that to be choosy about where you want to go to school. I didn't learn this until I took my first HR course, but there is a difference between an accredited and non-accredited institution. And so now that I'm on the other side, so doing the interviews and screening and hiring process, if you graduate from a college or a university that is accredited, that means that your degree or certification that you receive from there doesn't lose value. If you receive a degree or any sort of certification from an institution that is non-accredited, what that means is that perhaps maybe the curriculum or the educational material that the institution is teaching is not exactly up to date. From the employer perspective, your education licenses, degrees carries more weight if it's from an accredited institution. And so that would be the first thing I would look at. The second thing is when it comes to applying for jobs, I would also look at organizations that operate beyond a purpose, beyond profits. And that's one reason why I decided to get one of my concentrations in nonprofit management, is because I love it when organizations operate for a purpose beyond profits. And as I mentioned earlier, I have worked in the for-profit sector. However, I have been very selective when it comes to choosing organizations. That would be my first advice I'd give to high school students, is make sure, as best as you can, because I know that the cost of education can sometimes be a determining factor, but know that in the long run, when employers see that you have certification or a degree from an accredited institution, that's going to carry more weight.
All right. Thank you so much for taking your time, Carmella Fuentes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's Walapai 100.9.